Warning: the content you are about to see is my opinion on certain topics. I do not want to offend anyone in any way. If you feel offended or do not like what I say, you should turn off the video. I will have no filters, so I'm warning you now. Viewer discretion is advised. I hope you enjoy.
All right, you ready?
Okay.
All right.
I get nervous when it's recording. Okay.
Don't be nervous. All right, what's up? It's your boy Big Rob, aka Rob the Poet, and we are back with another episode of Open Your Mind. This is the podcast where I talk about topics from my point of view. I just want people to listen to my opinion with an open mind. That's what this show is about. And I have people on as well. They have their own opinions. Don't rush to judgment. Listen to what they got to say. You might like it, you might not. But today, I have one of my good friends on today. We used to work together at one of my jobs, and now she's graduated college and on to bigger and better things. But today we have Sierra. How you doing today, Sierra?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How was the COVID treating you?
It's okay for now. It's the new normal, like everyone's kind of saying. But yeah. Graduated, like you said, and just kind of like taking it day by day. What about you?
Uh, I have a lot more free time to do a lot more stuff. So as you see, I have
Yeah.
this podcast. I've been writing a little bit more poetry, trying to push that out to do some visuals. I'm gonna have Javon help me out with that whenever he has some free time. And then
Yeah.
also today, I don't know if you saw, but I also dropped the first episode to this new cooking show I have called Who
Mhm.
Needs Measurements. So I'm gonna try to stay consistent on a lot of stuff I do. But one thing that has been kind of consistent with a lot of people is, people are not used to COVID. People are not used to being in the house all day. Quarantining got them being by themselves, being introverts and stuff like that. A lot of people's mental health is being affected by this. So just kind of start, what is kind of your idea on mental health?
Um, I would say the overall thought when I hear about mental health is kind of it's very important. It should be like the first thing on your mind in regards to like health wise, how you're treating your body and stuff like that. So yeah, this is definitely a very important topic during uh, our environment at the moment, our world, along with all the other crazy stuff that's going on. Um, but how like I wanted to ask you, how did like everything go down when everything? How was your mental health when like everything started?
As far as quarantine,
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm a type of person that I'm always by myself already. I mean, I have, I hang out with people and different stuff like that, but I'm the type of person that can always be by themselves. So me being quarantining and in a room by myself usually don't bother me. But when I'm not allowed to see people and I got to do this all day, every day for months at a time and different stuff like that, yeah, my mental health was kind of going down. I'm like, man, I feel
Yeah.
like, I'm not necessarily going crazy, but I just feel like I need to do something, which, I've
Yeah.
never been that type of person. But I just be kind of feeling a certain way. I've been just thinking a lot more to myself. Like, I just been more with my thoughts that I haven't been before, thinking like, well, man, like, am I, good enough to do this? Am I good enough to do that? It's not
Mhm.
necessarily nothing to do with quarantining, but when you left by yourself in in your own apartment or your own room or something like that, you're just left with your thoughts. And when you
Yeah.
thinking and constantly thinking, you just start thinking about different stuff that's not related to the situation that's going on. And
Mhm.
no, my mental health was a little bit, not necessarily I was. depressed, but at a time where especially when you're single, you just don't you don't have that companionship, somebody to talk to, or kind of check on somebody to check on
Yeah.
you a lot, to say, hey, are you doing good and stuff like that. So I was kind of in a deep uh hole at one point, but I don't know what it was, but I just told myself, like, I've always been, or lately I've been kind of like the confident person, so I just kind of necessarily talk myself out of it. But has that anything like that happened to you, where you kind of went to like a slump, or you've always kind of been like you've kept like level headed?
Definitely went down into a slump, actually. So this is probably, well, it started out well. Actually, I feel like I wouldn't have graduated this past semester if it
Mm-hmm.
hadn't been for quarantine and us going online and the professors being more lenient with assignments and stuff like that. Because honestly, I was not, like, this last semester was just like so much. Along with work, it was all kind of overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mental health was definitely not, like, I wouldn't say it's definitely been better, but it wasn't like the worst that it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot on my plate. So once we were quarantined, or once we had the stay-at-home orders, of course, you had more time to focus on schoolwork, more time to.
Hey, Sierra, real quick, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. Can you speak up
Yeah.
just a little bit?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. It was just kind of, I can barely
okay.
hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so where was I talking about?
Talking about like work and like and school
Yes.
and different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so juggling all of that was tricky, and then once we got the stay-at-home orders, it was you had more free time on your hands to focus on work. Of course, being the procrastinator that I am, along with other students, most of that free time was just like laying in bed or watching Netflix or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
it definitely helped with turning in assignments and changing, like a lot of projects and presentations were canceled, so that took a lot of stress away. Um, I don't think my health really plummeted until it was beginning of summer. So once school let out, I was like, this is great, graduated, gonna go and focus on work. This will be my second year going into the summer for leasing
Mm-hmm.
at the apartment complex. And we did go through new management, so it was a little bit different from last year. We were still trying to catch up on a lot of things, and the workload ended up being a lot more than I thought I could handle.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, the environment that I was in was that I should be able to do this. I don't have to focus on school. I don't have to do like anything else other than work. I don't understand why I can't finish like my tasks on time. And so eventually it got to the point where I had written warnings, and we had a meeting towards, this was getting middle of summer, and my manager sat me down and they're like, do you think you can do this job? And I flat out told them, like, no, I can't. Like, I thought I could. I really wanted to put my all into it, but it's just not working. I haven't caught up. I'm going to be real honest and say, like, it's just taking too much out of me. And it was really hard to say that in the first place because I never want to be the person that gives up. So that made me feel like complete shit. Like, that was like the lowest I've ever been.
And see, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. I thought you.
Yeah, I didn't tell you.
I was about to say, I thought you just left on your own recognizance? Like, I
No,
thought you was like, oh, I just, I'm graduating, so I'm gonna be out of here. I did not know all of this, to be
that was
honest.
yeah, that was the plan. I was gonna go until I moved out, which was end of July. But this
Hmm.
conversation happened toward the end of May, and or middle of May, and then a week and a half later, I was fired. Like,
Oh, dang.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, it kind of happened out of well, I knew it was coming because we had the conversation like, okay, we're once we get to this certain point in the summer, we're gonna like it's gonna be done. Like you're gonna be done, and I was like, okay, but they definitely didn't like. I think it's company policy not to tell, because that's how
No, it's not. I
it's
know.
not company policy. Oh
No,
yeah,
I know about their policies and the way they operate.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so they didn't tell me. It was like a Monday of that week, and I was the only one in the office, and with 2 out of 3 managers that I knew didn't really like me, um, or were not satisfied with my work ethic. It was definitely awkward. And then head boss pulled me into his office, and he was like, "This is your last day. I'm gonna pay you until like the full hour, but you're leaving right now." And I was like, okay. And I thought I
Crazy.
was going to be okay. Yeah, it is. I've never been fired. I've never been fired. I never thought I was going to be fired. And, but when it happened, I was like, I mean, I was expecting this. It's kind of like a shock when because I didn't know what day it was going to be. I thought I had more time, like a week or
Hmm.
two. And it didn't hit me until like Ben took my keys and I walked out. There were no other leasing agents there, so they did it at the perfect time because I have Javon and then Bronwyn and Jiwoo, who I got really close to.
Hmm.
So no one was there to see it happen. And as soon as like it was during the stay-at-home order, so no one was coming into the office, and so they had to lock the door. And so basically, I walked out, they closed the door, and I heard the lock click, and I just like burst into tears because it was just like, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've gotten so close to this company and like the people that work here, and it was like I felt like I was did dirty. Like
Hmm.
I was like, there was no like I was honest. I was trying to work with it and everything, and it was just like, this is not the way I wanted to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but one thing with
No,
that
you're good.
company is, like you said, we work together, and I
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what you're going through because, as you know, I was your manager and stuff like that. And, I've gotten, I believe, one or two written warnings for supposedly my performance. But like in my defense, I don't think that I was really trained as much as I should have been, especially me being a manager. Like I just went from at least an agent to a manager, and like I didn't really, I didn't really know anything. And then a regional just wasn't the best. But fast forward to a year or so later, um, didn't see it coming. One of the big people up in corporate came down and then pulled me into
Mm-hmm.
my manager's office with him and kind of was just like, yeah, last year didn't go how we wanted to. Granted, we hit goal, and
Mm-hmm.
it was, it was all a bunch of BS. But and it was like it didn't go the way we want to, and um, we want to move in a different direction. I was like, uh, okay, oh, I literally was like, I don't understand. We're gonna have to let you go. I'm like, but like I did everything that y'all told me to.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
y'all wanted me to do better at marketing. I did better at marketing. Like I even got help. Like nobody was helping me and all this and that. And then they were like, well,
Mm-hmm.
we just want to go a different direction. I looked at my manager, uh, Ben. I was like, is I wasn't doing my job, and then the corporate was like, "Oh, Ben had nothing to do with it. Ben didn't know this is just something we're doing." I'm just like, "Oh, okay." And so I walked up out of there. Ben came behind me. He was like, "Hey, I need your keys." I gave him my keys. I was like, "This is bullshit."
That's the like,
This,
oh, that's the
yeah. I said, "This is literally bullshit," and I left. And
yeah.
it was crazy because that was the second time um, I was fired, but the first time I kind of seen it coming, but I didn't, and so I wasn't as mad. I was just mad like, oh, okay, I got fired. I was mad, but this
Mhm.
time it was a lot more difficult. Like my mental health was all the way effed up because the week before I found out that my grandfather had died, and
Mhm.
then
I remember
I
that.
got fired. I got fired on a Monday. His funeral was on a Wednesday,
Mhm.
and then I had my friend's wedding to go to that Friday. So I'm having a whole bunch of different emotions within 1 week. Got fired. I was mad, pissed off. I was sad on Wednesday because I had my grandfather's funeral. And then on Friday, I had to act like I was happy and all this and that when I had no job and I just lost my grandfather. And it was
Yeah.
like my mental health was really like I was in a deep, like I didn't want to I didn't talk to nobody for a good couple of days. Like I went on it's crazy. I went on a unfollowing spree on like
Really?
Instagram. Like I unfollowed all their properties. I unfollowed everybody that was pretty much, I unfollowed Ben. I followed everybody that was pretty much working with me. It was just, I was just mad at everybody. And like,
Yeah.
like I was just like, I was just basically feeling sorry for myself because I'm like, I didn't see it coming. Like that's when it's worse when you don't see it coming. And then like,
Mhm.
when you thinking about it, you ain't got nothing else to do. So I was just sitting in my apartment just like damn, like I don't know what I did. Like
I don't know what I'm
I
gonna
was doing
do.
my
Yeah.
best. Like maybe I'm not even employed, like I was just I had so much in me. And so but my mom kind of sat me down, just kind of said like this is in the works, like this God had a plan, and this is what's supposed to happen, like because the year before I was getting my master's and I had just became a manager, and so
Mhm.
my workload, like you were saying workload earlier, was it went from this
Up there.
to
Yeah.
this, and like I was stressed, like I was so stressed where I was getting physically sick, like my body was starting to shut down, like I was starting to get
Mhm.
sick, like there was some points where I had to go to the emergency room because I felt like my heart it was so bad. So in all the end, like I think that I needed to leave that job because I was so stressed. Like I was
Yeah.
gaining weight, and it was just a
A lot.
lot to handle. So mental health is very important. You need to make sure that your mind is clear and you have control over it.
Mhm.
Um, so after dealing with yours, going back to you, after dealing with everything that transpired with you getting fired, what were some ways that that you did? What were some things that you did to kind of promote better mental health for yourself? Like, what did you do? Like, did you like go on
Yeah.
a trip? Did you kind of read book? Like, what exactly did you do?
So honestly, like I hit I hit that low and it kept me there, and I also kind of was like allowing myself to stay there for a long time. I don't think I really tried to make myself better until um like a month later.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when like, okay, I'm gonna start seeing if I can move out early, if like I can um move home, see how things go, maybe start looking at a job,
Mm-hmm.
or another job, because I I had a wedding to travel to Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
in Ohio, and that was going to be a lot of, I needed money. I needed to be able to pay for the place we were staying at, pay for the plane ticket, have spending money for food, and being a bridesmaid, you have to also spend like other stuff to get ready and make sure that everything goes well. And so I was like, I lost my job. and I don't have any income.
Mm-hmm.
I need to find something that I can like get hired really quick. So I ended up doing DoorDash. I'm still doing DoorDash, and that helped out a lot. I think that was after I like moved home and
Mm-hmm.
had been there for like a week or so, and I was like, I need to get up and do something. I can't stop like thinking of myself as someone who failed, because honestly, like it's not it's not a bad thing to fail. It's
Mm-hmm.
also not the whole story.
No.
And the part that I think was really important for me to realize was the fact that like I should have called it quits like months before. It was just like too much. I wasn't like, I've tried to change and reform to the new ways that we were doing things, and it just wasn't working. I wasn't catching on. And with the amount of work that I had in that last semester, it just wasn't working. And I didn't want to give up, because I was like, no, I don't want to think that I'm a person that can't do this. And when I like really looked back, and instead of being like, or finally being able to let go of those feelings of like anger and like resentment towards other coworkers, it was
Mm-hmm.
like I just needed, like, that wasn't working anymore, and I'm okay with the fact that I left, and it doesn't really matter like how you left. It's kind of like, what are you going to do from here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How you gonna bring yourself out of that? Like, don't dwell on it. So yeah, nah.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's just kind of a, let's just move on. Also still in like quarantine, moved from San Marcos to San Antonio, where cases are skyrocketing at that
Mm-hmm.
time, and they're going down slowly as of right now, but during July kind of time they were going pretty steady. And as for just picking up from there, it was just like hang out with family and make money, and moving back, being back with family, people that I like, no longer being really by myself anymore, because the people that I saw all the time were coworkers. And so once I was fired, I was kind of like, I didn't have my roommate because she was in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just kind of alone all day. And so definitely getting out and about, and being with family when you come home, it helps a lot.
That's
So
good.
that's
That's
kind of,
good.
yeah.
I know me. I'm a typical overthinker. So like I said, when I got fired, it
Mhm.
was just like so many thoughts running through my mind, and it just kind of, I was kind of in a hole, like a deep hole. It was hard to get up out of it. But I remembered that I had a trip already planned for that week after, or week and a half after I was going to Denver. So it was a trip I
Mhm.
was doing by myself, and I kind of once I went there, I kind of forgot about everything to be honest. And like, I just that's one thing that I need to stop doing to myself is overthinking, because like I said, once I got to Denver, I didn't even think about it. Like, I explored the city. I kind of Ubered around and kind of went to the downtown area. I went to this area. I went to this area, and I kind of freed my mind. And then when I came back to Texas, I was like, you know what? I really don't need that job. Like, I
Yeah.
like you were saying earlier, like, you don't know why you let it go on this long. Like, you should have called it quits earlier. That same thing with this job.
Mhm.
I was already telling myself, um, I want to leave. Like, this job was just, it was kind of stressing me out. Like, I just needed to go. And then once I got fired, that was kind of like, my mom was like, that was your sign right there. Like, you didn't need to be at this job. And so I kind of was just doing the Uber thing for a while. And like, to be honest, when I was actually doing the Uber thing, I was making, if not the same, a little bit more than what my paychecks were at at the apartment complex. So I was like, for like a couple months, I didn't have a job. That was my job.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I'm paying bills, I was doing good, but then it kind of slowed down. And so I was like, okay, I need to
Mhm.
get a job. So I ended up getting a job, and everything kind of worked out for the best. And like, I actually put my thinking to other uses. Like at the time I started writing a book, and I started just doing a lot more writing, kind of putting my thoughts down to paper. So, that was kind of my ways to kind of get myself out of that hole. Cause like you said, mental health it can be scary if it's not being controlled, right? So I think we all should
Mhm.
kind of always promote better mental health. And if you're in a rut, find ways to get up out of it. Talk to your family, write it down, just kind of get your mind off of it. So
Yeah.
I think that's where we're going to leave that with the mental health. Um, Next, I think this is another big topic as well, because it's always a battle that people have, not with other people necessarily, but within themselves. So, inner beauty versus outer beauty. There's some people that think that, what they look like on the outside is what's most important, because they can be
Mhm.
the worst person on the inside, but if they look the best, they're gonna, that's what they think. But in all actuality, they may feel like that for a little while, but then as they get older, as they get around a certain type of group, they're going to realize like you have to be good within and on the outside, because I
Mhm.
feel like your inner beauty kind of helps. Going back to the mental health, your inner beauty helps you get up out of that hole, because if you don't feel good on the inside, then you can kind of bring yourself. Even you could be the most beautiful person in the world, but if you don't feel like that, it can kind of bring you down. So I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on inner beauty versus outer beauty?
To kind of like piggyback off of what you were saying, uh, yeah, outer beauty can only get you so far. Um, to start this conversation off, have had like, I've had friends who kind of like, I don't want to be crude or anything, but they like very attractive looking people, but you can immediately kind of tell where they've they've relied on that their entire lives,
Mm-hmm.
and to a certain extent it's like they either it's immaturity or it's um, lack of really being able to think about other people, or being empathy.
Empathy, yeah.
It's
Empathetic, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
empathetic. I think that's what I said. I don't know.
I think you said it
But
slowly, but yes, you did say it.
empathetic. And anemone. Uh anyway, so yeah, it's definitely, I've worked on that my entire kind of, or make it sound so long, my entire life. I'm only 23.
I was about to say you.
But my
You're still
entire
young.
life I've worked on this journey for my inner self. No, I mean, maybe it's more so in like high school, where, because at a young age you start thinking about like, how can I look like, how can I look good? How can I, like, I want to be attractive, I want to be cool, I want to be popular, and I tried to conform to that all throughout school, throughout 12 to below. Like, it was always on my mind, and it wasn't until like maybe junior, senior year of high school, where I was like, I need to focus more on on how, like, who I am,
Mm-hmm.
more so than how I'm portraying myself. Like, I feel like I'm portraying someone and going along with norms just so I can, like, it'll be cool. And there's so many things that I haven't done that I've been wanting to do for so long, because I'm worried about like how that'll look or how that'll make other people feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't want confrontation. I don't want to make anyone feel upset or hurt someone in any type of way. So I'm not going to push it, or push boundaries, or push um, ideas. And so as soon I was like, to hell with it as soon as I graduated. And the first things that I did was I chopped my hair. I was like, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm gonna go to college. I'm going to college. I'm now like starting my adult life. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I've been wanting to do this since I was, what, like 6th grade. But I was never like, maybe it won't look good at me, and maybe I don't have like, I was like, I don't know, I can't picture myself. But it was so like, and it wasn't a good cut. It was like, I went to my hairstylist that I've had for, like, she's my neighbor actually, she lives like right there. She has been cutting my hair forever, and she is very like gender specific, so she refused to use like clippers on my hair, so it was just like scissor cuts, which I mean only gets you so far. So it was like it was getting like really long down here, and I was like, it's starting to look like a mullet. I was like, I don't know, and the cut was just like it wasn't suited well for. I like it looked good, but it was just like it could have been a lot better.
Definitely.
And yeah, and but that was like the first step. And then freshman year, I was like, I hate what I wear. I was like, it's not what I wear. It was always like, one, it was conforming to what was okay in high school. Two, it was just like, it was all hand-me-downs, which I mean, I'm so lucky to even get that from family. But it's like, I wanted to get my own stuff that I liked. It was kind of just like wearing whatever my family had. And it just like popped off from there. Like I started adventuring into like, um, it started out and then it kind of went in full circle. Because they're talking about outer beauty. I can't. I was about to explain my joke.
I know this. It's okay.
Siobhan tells me, and he's like, you have to stop doing that. I was like, I thought it'd be, and I was like, it's kind of funny when you explain the jokes sometimes. He's like, but you do it all the time.
No, definitely not. But
anyway, yeah.
But no, I definitely agree with you 100% because I was kind of the same way. Actually, I was kind of I don't know, I had a weird childhood as far as like, I was always, like I said, I've always been the shy, kind of quiet type. So, and I was a bigger guy, like a bigger kid too. So I was always made fun of. And so that inner beauty, as I would say, or like my self-esteem was always shot. So like, I never felt like I was just this, good looking or handsome person inside. And so that kind of affected the way, I acted on the outside and stuff like that. I always, like I said, kept to myself. I never wanted to do anything because, I was like, well, I don't, for some reason I was always worried about getting girls, which, the guys I just always were worried about. But like, I knew I wasn't going to be able to, I felt like this all the way through high school. It wasn't until college where I kind of really
blossomed.
Yeah, I kind of really found myself, and it's weird, and I don't want to get into all the details, but 19 was a very big year for me. So after, I think once I hit 19 and I kind of found myself or blossomed, I've kind of started acting different, and like, my confidence kind of went up, and I carry myself a different way. And, I've even started getting more attention from the females. And so like, I think ever since then, I'm just kind of like, I don't need, I've always been the same person. Like, I don't care what, at that time too, I don't care what people think about me. Like, if I feel good on the inside, like, I know what I am and I know how I look. Like, I think I look good and all this and that. So, I just kind of carry myself like that. So I think, and that comes to my next topic, which is more important, inner beauty or outer beauty? I say inner beauty because, I think if you feel good on the inside, I think it doesn't really matter what you look on the inside, because as long as you feel good to yourself, you're always going to be beautiful. So what do you think?
I agree wholeheartedly. Like I said, outer beauty only gets you so far. But yeah, I feel like there's also a part in finding yourself and like just there's so much not to go off on a tangent too much, but like there's so much
No, you
ignorance,
good.
I think, in the world, and it stems from not um like not living in other people's shoes. I didn't
Hmm.
realize how much of or how it's so hard for certain people to see outside of their bubble because they never ventured out, and they don't realize how important that is.
Hmm.
And it's like, how are you expected to grow really if you can't, or if you either you can't, or either you're not able to, or you just choose not to experience different ways of life.
Hmm.
And that's like the main thing for me. Like it's it's that's the whole part, because I feel like if you're able to understand other people or even attempt to understand other people, I feel like there's a way that it translates to how you treat yourself.
Definitely, 100%.
It's yeah, there's like more with empathy that you give to other people, it kind of translates more to yourself. I've learned with like the biggest groundbreaking thing that I've ever experienced with my counselor. Um, Throwback to last subject, mental health. If you can get a counselor, I highly recommend. They're the bomb. Try to become one, hopefully. But the biggest groundbreaking like breakthrough that I had with her was that she was like, you treat people so nicely, so like considerately. She's like, why don't you do that for yourself? And I was like, I'm like my, and I didn't even think about how I was treating myself. I
Hmm.
didn't think that like I was treating myself poorly or anything, and now it's like completely changed after years of like really focusing on that, where I'm like, I don't bad mouth myself anymore. I don't get on myself when I fail or anything. I mean, if you can be like, oh, this is, I hate this, blah 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 or whatever, but it's like I'm not as hard on myself as I used to be, and it's just comes around to being whole with yourself, treating yourself nicely, and I feel like that'll inward, outward, completely. Like, if that last sentence made sense, I don't know.
It
Like,
kind of, yeah.
it kind of did.
I speak Sierra, so I know.
The
But
viewers are gonna be like, this girl is not fully there.
nah, you're all good. But I want to take it back to something you said earlier, as far as looks taking you so far. So if we know that now as adults, how come when we were younger, the outer beauty always trumped the inner beauty? Because you know when you're growing up, it's especially as kids, you know, kids are very cruel. So
Oh yeah.
kids are always gonna make fun of you. So I think as a kid growing up, you always thought that outer beauty was the most important until you got to a
Hmm.
certain age. So why do you think that at that age that the outer beauty always trumped the inner beauty?
I feel like society wise, that's definitely pushed. But then when you think deeper into it, it's like, where did that stem from? And my, wait, what was the question one more time?
Why
I'm
does
like, wait, you're going to get off to the wrong part.
no, you're all good. Just growing up, why do you think that the like the way you looked on the outside always trumped the way you felt on the inside?
Yeah, because yeah, it's, it's kind of what you get told when you are birthed into the world. I think if you like are born into a family that is care or like a normal family, um, and they have opinions, views like everyone else, they want you to have the same. So a lot of norms deal gender specifically or politically views, like it can get like to the smallest things to um yeah, like I don't know how else to explain it. It's just kind of like you're born into this type of way of life, and
It's all you've known. Like
it's all
growing
you've
up.
known.
Yeah.
And so when you see another kid that's like completely different from you, that's another big thing. It's like, why do you look like that? Or like, why do you, like, I know when I first cut my hair, or no, when I first shaved my head, I shaved my head, and my cousin Lulu, she was like, she's 7 or 8 at the time, and she was like, why are you doing that? And I was like, because I want to. And she was like, but you have hair. Girls are supposed to have long hair. She's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why are you doing this? And I was like, girls don't have to have long hair. And she's like giggling, saying, yes, they do. And I was like, no, they don't. And I mean, she'd just get distracted with something else. And eventually she like gets used to it. But yeah, like kids are blunt. Like, they're just going to be like, that's different. I'm going to point it out because I'm confused. Or like, yeah.
I just think that if it's something like nobody's never seen before, because I would myself, I remember when you shaved your head as well, I was kind of like, huh.
You didn't like it. You didn't say anything.
I didn't, because it's not that I didn't like it. I wasn't used to you. Like when I first met you, your hair was this long. I don't know how long it was, but it was long.
So long.
And then one day you have long hair. The next day you have a bald head, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Okay, it went to like an asymmetrical kind of thing. Remember that? Like I chopped it and I showed up at like a after hours like thing.
It needed time to get used to it, because and now I remember when you fully shaved your head, that was, that I wasn't still used to that, but like the hairstyle you got now, like it fits you now. Like, I've seen you with
you've gotten used to it, and it's kind of like,
so that it don't bother me. So, but I just think that going back to the question is that, like you said, you totally hit it. Growing up, that's really all you've known. You're born into this, like, you need to look a certain way, especially when you're a kid, because you're still developing your own thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. So when people tell you something, you really don't know. You just know about what you look like on the outside. And so it takes a minute. Some people get it quicker. Some people get it a little bit later in life. But like I said, it took me until I was 19, 20 years old to kind of really be okay with myself. And so, I just think that kids nowadays, or just even the schools, need to try to promote better awareness for these kids. Like, it's not all about what you look like on the outside. If you feel good about yourself on the inside, that's all that matters. Like, really, because one thing that sticks to me today is the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Like, I live my life to that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what you say. You can call me the worst name, like, in ever. And so, I don't, as long as you don't put your hands on me, I don't care. So I kind of lived that. So I think inner beauty versus outer beauty, I think everybody needs to be okay with themselves. And if you're okay with yourself, it doesn't matter what nobody thinks of you. I think that's the biggest lesson that should come out of this conversation. So do you have any last questions about anything? You want to say something?
Oh, don't put me on the spot like that.
It's just, if you don't,
I feel like I'm at the doctor's office. They're like, do you have any questions? I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, if you have any questions, that has been another episode of Open Your Mind. Like I said, this is the show where we say what's on our mind. You may not like it, but as long as you listen to it and listen to it with an open mind, don't do any judgment. That's all we can ask for. So again, that's another episode. I'm Big Rob, aka Rob the Poet, and I'll see y'all later.